Listen, Capaldi, you know, you may have given up Doctor Who, but you're not nicking my Cadbury's flake on the back of it.
Good morning, I'm Mike Graham, he's Mike Parry. You're listening to the Two Mikes on the warm-up right here on TalkSport. Football is back and it's as if it was never away. Here at TalkSport last night we brought you Sunderland's massive result against Derby. Simon Grayson has been roundly criticised by Mike Parry as being useless. Parry said that he would not do well at Sunderland. He's got a great result. First time up, he's managed to get a 1-1 draw. We'll be hearing from Simon Grayson and we'll be looking ahead, of course, to Wolves against Middlesbrough later on today at 3 o'clock. Live commentary on TalkSport 2. We will be talking to Sam Ricketts, who's a former Wolves player and a former teammate of Gareth Bale as well. We might have some news on that front too. Plus, John Norman's covering the cricket for us. The fourth test at Old Trafford enters day 2. 08717 223344. We'll find out what's been going on with Amir Khan and his missus and Anthony Joshua. And, of course, we'll also bring you all the latest news from Mr. Costa down at Chelsea and why he's brought a lawyer in. You're listening to the Two Mikes with me, Mike Graham, and him, Mike Parry, right here on TalkSport. This is TalkSport. We are the Two Mikes, and I'm delighted to say that it is the warm-up, and it's time to say a very, very good morning to Mr. Mike Apoki Parry. Very good morning to you, Mr. Parry.
And a very good morning to you, Mike. Have you been on the angel dust? Did you sprinkle angel dust on your cornflakes this morning?
No, I did not. No, I'm all out of it.
Oh, well, listen, I tell you what, for our millions of listeners, for the benefit of millions of listeners, can you explain this game that happened last night where Simon Grayson, Sunderland's manager, got this great result?
Fantastic result.
Where did this game take place?
Well, let me tell you, it took place at Sunderland last night. It was live on TalkSport, right? Football is back.
It was a draw.
Yeah, well, hang on a second.
A home draw.
Hang on a second. Just a few days ago, you were mocking Simon Grayson because
I do not mock football
Celtic
managers.
went to Sunderland in a pre-season friendly and absolutely larruped Sunderland 5-0.
Yeah.
You called them the
Celtics reserves.
You called them Celtics reserved. You said a team with no strikers has scored 5 goals against Sunderland.
Yeah.
What kind of a possible team can this guy Grayson be putting together? He's inherited an absolute pile of nonsense and rubbish. He's got a load of players, even by Darren Gibson's admission, who don't care about the club and who don't care about how they play football.
Yeah.
This guy has brought them up from their bootstraps from a 5-0 defeat to a 1-1 draw with a very high-flying Derby County. I think it's a fantastic result.
Did you hear Mr. Grayson after the show?
Yes, I did.
Yeah, after the game.
What show?
Shall I tell you what he said?
I didn't know he was doing a show.
Well, it is a show. They put a show on at Sunderland. What was the crowd? I'm just trying to find the crowd. It looked about half full to me when I was watching the game.
Well, Sunderland fans haven't got a lot to cheer about. I think they'll be sorry they didn't go to that game. It's a great result for Sunderland.
Right, let me just tell you this. You know, Mr. Grayson after the game said, we like to give the fans here something to watch.
It's like the Chuckle Brothers. The Chuckle Brothers.
You know, they like to see a bit of running and a bit of tackling and all that, so we like to give them something to watch,
Why don't we have a listen to the real Simon Grayson and see what he had to say?
All right.
The supporters want to relate to players running and chasing, and anything after that is a bonus, and we will get better, I'm pretty sure of it. So they've set themselves the standards now, and we don't want to slip below that.
There you go.
Okay.
He says it's a bonus.
It's a bonus.
So he's set his stall out there.
Better running.
Well, it's better than old who are you, who says, we know where we're going. He's not saying anything like that.
Bit of running and harassing, that's what the fans come here to say. We like to give them something to watch, What they want to watch, Mr. Grayson, is Sunderland victories at home, in your magnificent stadium.
Can I tell you where they're positioned in the table, Sunderland?
They're top now, I suppose.
No, Nottingham Forest beat Millwall.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Right?
I predicted that result.
You did predict that result, incredibly, yeah. They won 1-0, but Sunderland are third. This could be the highest they appear at any point in the league for the rest of the year.
I'm sure it will be.
So I think it's going to give them a great fillip. I think the players are going to be happy. Yeah. I think the supporters are going to be at least encouraged that they can get a result. I mean, a 1-1 result after getting slaughtered 5-0 by Celtic is a fantastic achievement.
It's rubbish. I mean, we don't even know if Derby County are any good. You should always win your opening game of the season, particularly if it's at home, if you want to get the season off to a great start.
That's what you say.
Even he said last night, Chris, all the managers want to get maximum points in the first few games. Oh, he's picked up on that one then.
Yeah, well,
excellent.
I mean, I think you're being very disparaging to a man who's got 1 point so far out of a possible 3, and I think if they get a third of the points that they are able to get in this league, they will do well, and they will stay middle of the table, somewhere towards the top, and actually Simon Grayson would have thought to have been doing a good job. I'd like to hear from Sunderland fans.
Yeah, I would.
I'm going to give the number out. First, I'll give it out, and then you give it out later.
I will.
In your non-mangle-mouthed way.
That's right.
08717 077 22 33 44. We're going to be talking Wolves as well coming up.
Well,
so,
absolutely. That's going to be some game.
Now, Wolves is an interesting game, isn't it? Because Wolves...
Live on TalkSport 2 at 3 p.m, by the way.
That's right, with Ian Danter and Perry Groves.
That's right.
Now, the thing about Wolves is, right, that they're now in the sort of the clutches, if you like, of a rather interesting bloke, aren't they? Jorge Mendes.
Mendes.
Is involved, and they've had some big-name Portuguese signings.
Yep.
Ruben Neves, Willy Bolly, who's from the FC Porto.
Willy
Bolly, and Diego Jota, who's come in. He's an under-23 international loaned in from Atletico Madrid. Now, these are big-name players, particularly for a club like Wolves in the Championship, aren't they?
Well, they're not big name at all. Nobody's ever heard of them until they arrived at Wolves. So what do you mean they're big names?
No, you're always saying nobody's ever heard of them. What you mean is you've never heard of them.
No. Okay.
This guy is an under-23 international, Diego Jota, right? Frenchman.
And where did he come from?
Where's he come from? He's come from Atletico Madrid.
Right, Atletico Madrid.
A big club, a big European club.
And you think Atletico Madrid say, we can't hold him back if he's going to the mighty Wolves in England.
Well, this is why I'm saying it's a big story.
Rubbish.
This is a great story.
He's a reject. It's Atletico Madrid reject.
Why are you so
mate?
negative about everything?
I'm not negative.
You
I'm
are.
just telling you.
You've got nothing positive to say this morning. Have you got anything positive to say?
I've got everything positive
What
to
have
say.
you got that's positive to say?
Okay.
Tell me something positive.
Okay.
Cheer me up.
Juan Mata.
Juan Mata. Yeah.
Going to give 1% of his money away to charity.
That's a great move. I think that's terrific. You were being negative about him earlier.
Well, all I could say is, if it was a street cleaner...
£1,000 a week, right?
If a street cleaner in Southwark earning £16,000 a year decided to give away 1% of his salary to help the world's poor...
How much does a street cleaner make?
About...
you have no idea, do you?
No.
You're
But
supposed to be in touch with the people.
I would say £20,000 a year, right?
You think a street cleaner makes 20 grand?
Yeah. All right, it's 16 then, 16. So it makes 16, OK?
Incredible.
So 1%
Probably more
of...
like about 13, actually.
I'll say 16. I'll be generous. So 1% of 16,000 is 160 quid.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now that would be a magnificent gesture to.
This is netto, by the way.
Netto to try and alleviate the world's poor.
Yeah.
But when you're earning like just shy of 10 million quid a year, you decide to give 1% of it away.
Yes.
It is negligible. Now, if he starts a movement where every single footballer playing in the Premier League gives away 1% of their salary.
Yeah. Well, it's a start, isn't it?
Well, that'll be a huge amount of money.
From small acorns, giant oak trees
But I
grow.
would much have preferred Mr. Juan Mata to have said, I'm giving away 5% of my salary, because even then it's negligible on the sort of sums that he earns.
That's
no,
ridiculous.
it's not ridiculous.
He's chosen to give away 1% of his salary. I think that's very, very admirable. I think he should be praised for it. I don't think you should be poo-pooing it. Why don't you give £1,000 a week away?
I give away more. If Juan Mata's giving away 1% of his salary and he earns about, I would say...
100,000 a week.
$7.5 million.
Well, he's making 100,000 a week. That's why it's been worked out that he's giving away £1,000 a week.
Right, he's giving away £1,000 a week.
Right.
£1,000 a week, do you say?
Yes.
£1,000 a week.
Yeah, that's 1% of 1,000 of 100,000, isn't it?
Yes.
1,000 times 100.
All right. Well, I give away.
This is not difficult mathematics.
Percentage-wise, I give away a lot more of my money to charity than Juan Mata does.
How much do you give away a week then?
I'm not telling anybody because I don't want to seem to be boasting about my charitable work.
Cobblers.
But I give away percentage-wise a lot more of my money than Juan Mata gives away of his.
Talk is cheap.
Just ask people look after sick horses. Just ask them whether or not I help and go down there.
£1,000.
With a pitchfork, putting the hay in the field, giving my time.
You don't give anything like that
giving
away.
my dosh, my hard-earned dosh.
Hard-earned?
Ask all the people in Africa who now have sight because of me.
No, they don't.
Well, they used to.
No,
they used to.
You stopped giving them money,
well,
didn't you?
I did because
you got offended by the person who was running the charity.
Yes, I did. I did indeed. That's absolutely
so
right.
much you cared about them.
I wanted to speak to her personally. She said she doesn't speak to personal donators.
Yeah.
So I said, right, I'm not going to be a personal donator
How
anymore.
about this about Wolves, right? This is one for you from PJ. He says, Ruben Neves signed for Wolves and played for Porto. He's been linked with Liverpool and Chelsea. So not all rejects. Tell Porky the plank.
Yes, well, if you want to address me as Porky the plank, then I do not recognise your message, OK? Show a bit of manners.
Here's one from someone who says, Mark, he says, how is Sunderland third? Surely Derby should be third in alphabetical order.
Yeah,
well, excuse me, they are in alphabetical order.
Well, hang on, how many teams played last night?
Well, hang on, Derby comes before Sunderland, doesn't it?
What?
In alphabetical order. That's why Derby is second.
That's right, they certainly are,
So what is this guy talking about?
What?
Mark says, how is Sunderland third? Surely Derby should be third in alphabetical order.
Yeah.
How do you work that out?
I don't know.
How can he possibly think that S comes after, something comes before D?
Hang on, how many teams played last night? It was just the four?
Just the four.
Right.
Nottingham Forest beat Millwall and Sunderland played Derby.
Yeah, so
right?
that's Nottingham Forest 3 points.
Yes. Derby 1 point.
Yes.
But with a D coming above Sunderland, who start with an S.
Yes.
Who also have 1 point.
Yes, and Sunderland a third.
And Sunderland a third.
Well, that's right then.
Well, he's saying...
So who's arguing?
This guy Mark says Derby should be third.
Why?
Because it's out in alphabetical order.
No, well, he left school too early, Mark. Sorry,
I think
mate.
he did.
Get back there.
Yeah, get back to school.
Yeah.
Try to figure it all out.
Exactly.
Has one from Chris. He says, Porky's talking absolute rubbish. Mata earns $8.5 million a year,
Right.
so is donating $85,000 a year to charity.
Yeah.
Hardly a small amount.
Well, yeah, but percentage-wise, it's not as impressive as what I do. That's all I'm saying.
Well, we don't know what you do.
Well, I do.
And
I
since-
do
well,
what I do.
Well, you say you know what you do.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think you even know what you're doing yourself half the time.
That boy needs therapy. Psychosomatic. That boy needs therapy.
This is Talk Sport. We are the two mics. Coming up a little bit later on, of course, we'll be talking about the 1 minute moan, and we're going to wipe the slate clean this week, Mr. Parry.
Yes.
Because we are now starting officially a new season.
Yeah.
So for the first time, you will be in a position of actually drawing with me.
Yeah.
0-0, 0-0, whatever you like.
Get rid of your gerrymandering past.
I won the last season 20-10.
Oh, sure.
Which is extraordinary. How about this from D? He says, morning, Mike. Great to hear you giving El Planco both barrels for his laughable prediction about the Mackhams. Hashtag Porky Jinx. And Mark says, you sure Porky didn't confuse Simon Grayson with Larry? Hashtag shut that door.
That's a bit harsh, isn't it? Yeah. Shut that door.
Shut that door. Now, we will talk to some Sunderland fans in a little while as well. 08717 22 3344. Right now, though, time to talk to Sam Ricketts, former Wales and Coventry defender, former Wolves player, of course, as well. We've got Wolves playing this afternoon at 3 o'clock, live on TalkSport 2 against Middlesbrough, recently relegated, of course. Sam, a very good morning to you. Welcome to the show.
Good morning. How are we?
Yeah, very well
well,
indeed.
Sam.
Very well indeed. Now, Wolves have got an interesting kind of pedigree these days, haven't they, with Jorge Mendes and all these sort of foreign stars coming to play for them?
Yeah, all of a sudden Wolves are they're a massive club, but now they're all of a sudden, for a championship side, they're paying £15 million per players nearly every season. So it's a real big turnaround.
Sure, and I mean, these players, the three players, the big names of the Portuguese signings, who are all obviously connected in one way or another to Mendes. Do you know much about them? Ruben Neves, Willy Bolly and Diego Jota?
No, to be honest, I think they're names which aren't really... have not really found their way into English football until the players have arrived. I know they're very, very good players. The players I still speak to at the club said how good they are. And it obviously just goes to show the contacts which the Mendes and the players of the calibre which Wolves are able to bring in.
Right.
Indeed. Now then, Sam, do you think that in the modern era of football, and of course you're a seasoned professional, is there too much activity going on off the pitch these days and not enough going on the pitch? You know, all the talk is about massive transfers, clubs changing hands, new rules for fair play. Why don't the lads just put on their shorts and get on with it? That would be your attitude and that of the players, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I think as a player's point of view, that is obviously the most important thing, and that's all players would ever think about. But I think football is an entertainment sport, and it's not just the 90 minutes on the pitch. You know, fans want they sign up to get all the latest news instantly. You know, and it's such a big money-making thing now. But like I said, it's entertainment, it's newspapers, it's yourselves on the radio. It's everyone wants to talk about the transfers. Who are we going for? This is exciting. If we can get this player, if we can get that player, you know, and that's what makes football what it is. It's It's 24/7. It's not just the 3 o'clock kick-off on a Saturday.
No, that's a very good point. I mean, it's all around us all the time, isn't it? You walk into a pub, it's all there up on the walls.
Sales and everything, right?
Yeah, you're picking up your mobile phone on your way home, and all you're reading is catching up on your club. You're absolutely right there. It's 24/7, and it's a global sport, Sam. Well observed.
Sam, let me just ask you about what life in the Championship these days. I mean, obviously, with the amount of money that the Chinese group have put into Wolves, I mean, is that going to be enough to help them get themselves up to the Premier League?
I don't think you can't buy your way out of the Championship. I think it's a really hard league. I think today will be a really, really good footballing game. I think both sides will really want to try and play football and maybe a little bit more Premier League style. My worry is that I think you still need a real core of British players to get the club promoted. Going away to a Brentford or an Ipswich on a cold Tuesday night. You know, are the players really ready for the physicality of what the Championship will bring in during the winter months?
I mean, so you think it is really very important that people should be used to what the Championship's all about before they come here from abroad and start trying to be a fancy Dan, yeah?
Yeah, I wouldn't quite use the word fancy Dan, but our football is a very physical sport, and I think that's where British football really can go again and dominate in Europe again, because foreign players really struggle to live with our physicality. And I think that's what we need to try and bring back into our teams playing national side and also in European football, because when we get that right with the tactical side, it's proven that they can't live with it. So this is the big thing with the Championship. 2 games a week is a real tough ask. I know the new manager, Nuno, was surprised with Shrewsbury a couple of weeks ago. I think also Shrewsbury in a pre-season friendly and actually got beat. Shrewsbury won the game. And he came from the game realising, he was like, are all the games going to be this physical? He couldn't understand or didn't quite believe just quite what the game's going to be like. So this is what all the foreign managers and players coming in need to become accustomed to sooner rather than later.
Right. Sure. Now, as far as the other teams in the Championship so far, we saw Sunderland getting what I regard as a pretty good draw last night against Derby. I don't know whether you've ever worked anywhere closely with Simon Grayson, Sam, but do you think he's got enough to keep them in a place where they can stay in the Championship? Because a lot of Sunderland fans are worried that they're going to now start kind of spiralling downwards through the divisions.
Yeah, I'd like to think they'll stay in the Championship. I don't hold them much hope for them being towards the top half of the table. If I'm honest, I watched the game last night and I thought, like you, it was a really good draw for them.
Yeah,
it was important for morale, especially a home game. New manager, you want to start off the season as well as you can, and I think a draw was a good result against what will be a really good Derby side this season.
And what about your old mate Gareth Bale? Obviously, you played with him in the Wales team. Yeah. There's a lot of talk of Jose Mourinho wanting to kind of break any bank he can get his hands on to bring Gareth Bale back to the Premier League and to Manchester United. But we've heard that he said he doesn't really want to leave. What do you know?
What I know is that probably from when Gareth was at Spurs, Man United have been tracking him ever since then. Tried to sign him before he went to Real Madrid, and probably ever since. I think it's one of those things which we've seen this week. Every player has its price, and he is a player which Mourinho would love to have. And you can see by his comments saying that I'd love to have him, but I just can't get him. Well, that obviously means that you are wanting him and you're trying to get him.
That's right. I tell you, it's absolutely extraordinary, isn't it, Sam, that what we've heard from Gareth Bale is he's actually gone to his bosses at Real Madrid and said, please don't sell me to Manchester United. He must be the only player in the history of football, mustn't he, who's gone begging not to go to Manchester United.
I think, to be honest, it's a good world he's living in. He's going for arguably one of the biggest clubs in the world in Real Madrid. You've got another one, Man United, wanting to sign you. You've already been the world's most expensive player once.
Yeah.
And if he goes again, it will still be probably for 100 million or more.
Yeah.
So, he's
it's big time stuff.
He's a really good lad.
It is big time stuff. And he's always so genial, isn't he, when he's with the Welsh squad? You wouldn't know he's a world superstar, would you?
No, he's a fantastic person. More than anything, and obviously with that is a fantastic footballer. But he is someone who loves playing for Wales. He's a really down to earth. I've known Gareth since he was 16, and he wouldn't be that different now to what he was back then. Yeah. Obviously, he's confident and he's in his natural ability and things, but he's not arrogant with it. He's just a very, very nice person.
Terrific.
Sure.
Terrific.
Do you want to give us a quick prediction for the game this afternoon? Wolves-Middlesbrough should be a home win.
I think it'll be a really hard game for Middlesbrough. I think both new managers both really want to play football. I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw. I think it'll be a really tough game for both sides.
There you go. Sam, thank you very much indeed. Former Wales commentary and Wolves, of course, player Sam Ricketts there, agreeing with me, by the way, that Simon Grayson's draw with Derby was a terrific result.
Yeah, OK. Yeah, well, Sam should know what he's talking about, shouldn't he? He played at the highest level in the Premier League, hasn't he?
He agrees with me.
Yeah, he agrees with you. Okay. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Do you think I care that he agrees with you?
Well, I just thought you might wish to acknowledge that he's on my side. Talk Sport, we are the two mics on the warm-up, of course, here with you all the way through until 1 o'clock. We've got lots and lots going on. Loads of football, of course, today. Championship coming right at you.
I'm so delighted Joey's joined us, Joe Garton.
Are you?
I mean, this guy's great. He's going to transform.
He called us plonkers, the other week.
He called us plonkers?
Yeah, he did.
So what? Who cares?
Yeah, I don't care.
Think I care?
I don't care.
Thing is, Joey's coming, and Joe, if you're listening, because I know you always do, anybody messes with you, Joey, just give me a quick call.
Why are you creeping to Joey Barton now?
I'm not creeping to Joey
Barton.
you
are.
I'm not creeping to Joey
You've
Barton.
had a go at him in the past.
No, that's rubbish.
You have had a go at him in the past.
Rubbish. Now then, I want to announce...
He's going to be working with Adrian Durham. I feel sorry for him.
Say again.
He's working with Durham.
Oh, he's not.
Yeah, yes, it's 2 all afternoon.
I didn't realise
Saturday
that.
afternoon.
Right.
He's over here Monday nights as well, though.
Yes, exactly.
Which would liven up the airwaves.
It will certainly
It'll
liven
be
up
very
the
good.
airways. Yeah, it certainly will.
Yeah.
Right, now I want to announce a special birthday.
Do you?
I want to say happy birthday to my nephew Tom.
Oh, yeah.
Who is a great guy.
Uh-huh.
And
I don't think I've met your nephew.
you
have
haven't
I?
met my nephew
No.
Tom. And
Why are you keeping him away from me?
I'm not keeping away from you.
Uh-huh.
Well,
I've
actually,
met your niece.
Actually, Tom's very protective towards me. I'll tell you why.
he?
Sometimes down on the south coast I have problems.
Oh,
Now,
yeah.
Tom is a giant.
Oh, by the way, did you see that Gosport has become this Britain's centre for drug-related
no,
crime?
No, I didn't.
It
no.
has.
No, it's a
Absolute nightmare of a place.
It's a property hotspot.
Yeah.
Tom is 6'4",
Is he?
and of course I'm 5'8" and 3/4.
Really?
And so what happens is sometimes if I sense trouble on the south coast anywhere,
Well,
I
there's
get
a lot of
Tom
trouble
over.
down there, isn't there?
I get Tom over,
Yeah.
and believe me, nobody messes with Tom. I
that
mean,
right?
he sorts things out instantly.
Does he?
I've seen him grab a man by the throat, pick him up, and throw him over a hedge.
Violent character, is
No,
he?
not violent at all. Protective
Sounds
towards
like
his
a
uncle.
nasty piece of work.
No, protective towards his uncle.
All right, what's his birthday?
Eh?
What's his birthday?
When was his birthday?
No, you said it's his birthday, so what's
yeah.
his birthday? I.e., how old is he?
How old is he?
Yes.
What's his birthday?
You don't know, do you?
Of
You
course
have
I
no
know.
idea.
He's heading up towards 30. Heading up towards 30, okay?
You don't even know how old your only nephew is.
Of course I do. Of course I do.
What did you buy him for his birthday?
I sent him some dosh.
Really?
Yeah.
So you really pulled
His,
all the stops out and sent him some money.
Now, a few of his
So
mates,
you were very thoughtful.
a few of his mates are gathering on the south coast. I think they're going on a rampage tonight. But
Are
they're
they?
all nice, very well behaved,
Well,
polite
you just
people.
told me he likes to grab people by the throat and hurl them over a hedge.
Well, that's only if they're threatening me. He's very protective towards his uncle. You've got to
Sounds
remember
like
that
a terrible
I've been a
guy.
hugely influential person in his life, in his upbringing, okay?
Isn't he the famously, I would say probably the most famous cameraman in the world?
Yes.
Because he shot the Cinnamon Challenge.
He did. He
So,
did.
I mean, you should really tip your hat to him for that.
He did, absolutely. He did in the back garden.
Have you paid him
at
any
his
sort
home.
of residuals from your
Well,
vast wealth?
Don't you worry. Tom
Eh?
knows I look after him. Don't
Do
you worry
you?
about
How
that.
much money did you send him
Not a problem.
for his birthday?
I'm not going to tell you.
Why not?
Well, it's because it's a private matter. I don't ask you how much you spend on the presents for your children.
Well, why would you?
Well, because, exactly. Why
But
would
I,
I?
but
So
I
why would you
buy
ask
them
me?
proper presents. I actually think
Yeah.
about what they might like.
Yes.
And I go and buy them something as opposed to just handing them a load of dosh and go, yeah, I'll go buy you something nice, son, because I haven't got time
No.
to come out the pub and buy anything for you.
No. I've sent him loads of expensive presents over the years.
Really?
Yes.
Okay,
All
what would you say
sorts
is the
of
nicest thing you've ever bought him?
things. Xbox.
You bought him an Xbox?
Yes.
Really?
Yeah, I'm sure I did.
Did you?
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway, listen, a couple of tweets that I would
Okay.
like to draw to your attention.
Right.
One from Gordon. It says the athleticism stats have finally been released by the Premier League.
Yes.
And guess who the slowest team in the league are?
Go on.
Everton.
Nah, rubbish. That's utter rubbish.
Well, that's what he's saying.
No.
Stefan says he's eating a bacon and egg sandwich whilst playing FM 17 and listening to the two mics on Talk Sport.
Really?
Loves
Yeah.
Saturdays.
Yeah, you see, everybody knows that Everton can have a great season. For instance, let me read you the assessment from my old pal Robbie Savage, OK? It says here, Romelu Lukaku has gone, but Ronald Koeman spent £100 million on new players with the promise of more notably Gylfi Sigurdsson to follow. After a few false dawns, this could be the year Everton push hard for a top four finish if they replace Lukaku's firepower with another proven
Yeah, well, they haven't
goal
done that yet.
scorer.
Though. That's why it's going to be very exciting to see who else is going to be moving around in the transfer window. How about this one from Louis, who says he's listening to his favourite duo on the radio by the pool in Mallorca, which, if you're in Mallorca today, is about the only place you should be, because it's going to be around about 45 to 47 degrees in parts of Europe because of this thing called Lucifer.
Yeah.
This terrible heat wave that's going on.
Now, this hot wind, Lucifer, is coming off the Sahara, right?
That's right, yes.
It's coming up through Morocco and Algeria,
Yes.
and it's spreading out right across southern Europe to places like Turkey, 93 degrees expected. Corfu, 95.
Yes. Can you not do it in new language, please, as opposed to Fahrenheit?
What?
Can we have it in centigrade, please? Most
No,
people now do
you get it what I give it you.
Well, no, but nobody understands Fahrenheit.
Of course they do.
No,
Don't be
they don't.
ridiculous.
Don't be ridiculous.
Don't be
People,
ridiculous.
anybody under the age of about 40 doesn't understand Fahrenheit.
Well, OK, I'll tell you
Can
what
you just
then.
convert it for us,
Here,
please?
yes, I will. 41 in Podgorica in
Where?
Montenegro.
Okay.
Croatia, 40. Florence, 41.
Okay.
Sardinia.
Yes.
Italy,
Yeah.
43.
Right.
Sevilla in Spain,
Yeah.
42. I mean,
Incredible.
these are mad temperatures.
Yeah, can you imagine if you were there?
Yeah.
You wouldn't be able to move,
I
would
wouldn't
you?
be able to move.
You'd have to lie in a darkened room
Yes.
filled with air conditioning units.
I mean, to put it into perspective, 100 degrees Fahrenheit is 38.6. So if you're talking 40, 42, you're talking plus 100 degrees Fahrenheit temperature.
I mean, I was in Turkey a few years ago,
Unbelievable.
and it was very warm at around about 38, 39. But I can't imagine almost an extra 10 degrees on top of that. It'd be incredible.
I'll tell you what I want, what I really, really want. So tell me what you want, what you really, really want. I wanna really, really, really wanna say. If you wanna be my lover, you gotta get with my friends.
this rubbish for?
Because Jerry Halliwell, who leapt to worldwide fame when
yes.
she wore a mini dress,
Former
with the
UN ambassador.
That's right, former UN ambassador.
Yeah.
Might still be a UN ambassador for all
Might
I know. With the Union Jack on the front,
Yeah.
when the Spice Girls were at the height of their fame and popularity.
Yes.
Is 45 years old tomorrow.
Is she?
And what an outstanding career she's had. She's now married, isn't she? To
Outstanding career.
Yeah, outstanding
What are you
career.
talking about?
Well, she was the lead singer, or maybe she wasn't. Maybe she's one of the singers.
Well, she was one of the singers,
in the five-girl Spice Girls band, which is the biggest female group that's ever been. And so we should be proud that the British Spice Girls conquered the world and still remain the conquerors of the world in terms of volumes of records and their success.
Yeah, okay.
And I think it's something to celebrate.
Really?
Okay?
All right.
And I get fed up to the back
Well,
teeth
she
of
hasn't had
people...
much of a career since they ceased to be, though, has she?
Oh, well, hang on. You have a career and then you retire and then you go and do something else. That's what Posh Spice did.
She's now described as an author, actress, fashion designer,
Well, there you
model,
go.
television personality.
She's also the wife of the boss of the Red Bull Formula One racing team.
Christian Horner.
Christian Horner.
Yeah.
That's right, absolutely right.
That was a good move.
It was a good move, yeah.
Yeah.
And what I was going to say is, I get
So,
fed up
what's
to the...
you've got any of her books, have you?
No, of course I didn't know she'd written books.
Well, she's an author.
Well, she
You said she's had a very successful career. You've obviously been charting it and following it.
No. Listen, she had a career as one of the world's top pop singers, and she's then retired. She's doing other things.
Okay.
She's a mother. She's bringing up her children. I do get fed up of
Doesn't
people...
she work for a rival radio station?
I think she probably does,
So
yeah.
what are you giving her a load of publicity for?
Well, I don't care about that because, as far as I'm concerned, we're the best.
All
so
right.
I don't fear opposition, OK?
It's not a question
no
of that.
problem at all.
You also don't promote them either.
No, I'm not promoting them anyway. Unless you'd mentioned it, nobody would have known. So
Really?
it's you,
Are you
fool.
sure?
You low-faced
No, I haven't told
fool.
them. That's 4 times you said
Yeah,
low
I
face.
know,
You say it one
I know.
more time,
Yeah.
and you won't have a face. How about that?
Oh, it's easy to rile this one, isn't it, when he knows he's in the wrong?
No, not
What
easy.
I
How
was-
about this from Stephen? That's enough hagiography
No,
about
it's not.
Jerry
It's
Halliwell.
no, it's not, because the same thing happens with Posh Spice, the same thing happens with Scary Spice,
Yeah.
the same thing happens with Sporty Spice
Really?
and Baby Spice.
Really?
Everybody wants to put them down. They were very successful.
Also works for another radio
Envy and
station.
jealousy is still about.
Is that right? Stephen says this. I don't know why Borky's quibbling over 1%. He's quite happy getting 1% off a Big Mac. Has he got any more coupons?
Yeah, well, actually, I have, yeah.
Have you
So I took
collected
5
it from the
copies of
Metro?
paper the other day. Yeah, why not? Yeah.
Now, a lot of people saying that basically the reason why Sunderland should be ahead of Derby in alphabetical order
Is it the
stakes
time of the goal?
is no.
Oh.
It's got nothing to do with that. It's
Okay.
alphabetical order because it's AFC Sunderland.
Oh, I see.
But are they known as AFC Sunderland to all
No,
and
of course
sundry?
they're not, of course
well,
they're
no,
not.
Sunderland, aren't
Of
they?
course they're known as Sunderland, yeah,
I
absolutely.
mean, that's like saying AFC, or is it AFB, Barcelona?
Atletico Football Club Barcelona, AFB.
Something like that, yeah.
Bournemouth are AFCB, aren't they?
Yeah, they are indeed.
Yeah, that's right, yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, well, these things happen.
Indeed.
Now then,
I've got a few more for you here.
Yeah.
Mike says, Porky would make a good politician. He's always claiming to have done things that can't be checked. Hashtag plank.
Yeah, what like?
Like your supposed gifts to charity that you won't admit how much you gift for.
I don't like boasting about it.
No, exactly.
I don't like boasting about it. It's safe to say that,
And
as
the
we've just
feeding
had...
of the ducks and all that sort of
We've
stuff.
just had Dom on. I'm delighted to say that BetSafe, because of the genuine guys they are and wholly respectful and supportive, have sent money to the 2 charities that we sponsored last season
Yes.
in our charity bet.
And I'm sure we'll be able to describe that in full perhaps next week.
And the Main Chance Sanctuary benefited, and we're grateful for that. Thank you very much indeed.
Okay.
And
Ross
and
says
yours,
this.
And yours was?
Mine was North of Robin Scotland,
Okay, fine,
which
that's
is musical therapy for children with learning difficulties. It's
Excellent,
very, very good
excellent.
charity indeed.
Good.
Ross says the Parry clan sound a right vicious bunch. The South Coast Sopranos.
South Coast Sopranos. That's a bit harsh.
That is
isn't it?
horrible, isn't it?
Yeah.
Absolutely dreadful. And
Yeah.
Mike, for some reason, wants to have a go at you, saying, Porky, Everton have got no chance of a top 4 finish. You've got more chance of landing on the moon.
I don't agree with that, actually. I think that in the first couple of weeks, Everton will they're going to either face up to it. You've seen our fixture list. It's horrendous in the first half dozen games.
Well, that's called the Premier League,
City,
isn't it?
United, Chelsea, and yeah, of course it is. Yeah, and I'm delighted for it. The Chelsea game, by the way, has been recast
Yes.
to Sunday 1:30 in the 3rd game of the season. That's
Is that right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
3rd or 4th.
Right.
It's 1-2, which I'm delighted to be able to get to and attend.
Yes. Yes.
And I'm going to the Manchester City game with, funnily enough, our friends at Betso.
Oh, are you?
On the Monday night that you're...
I'll be on holiday.
You're taking a short break.
I
That's
am.
right.
Yes,
Yeah.
I'm taking my children away. We had a
Excellent.
bit of a kangaroo court, actually, in the house last night, which was very amusing.
Oh, what was this
Where
about?
we made them... Well, I've got a new phone, as you know.
Okay.
And my old phone, which was rather a nice phone, but
Yes.
kind of had kind of run out of its use for me, as it
Yes.
were. Was wanted by both of the kids,
Right.
You know, because it's an iPhone 6 Plus.
Well, they would use it instead of their current phone.
Yeah, because it's probably slightly better.
But didn't you ditch it because it was overloaded? And all
Yes,
that
I
kind
did.
of
Yeah,
stuff?
but
was
I
it
mean,
any good to them?
Well, it is because they don't need to use it for the things I need to use
Right,
it for,
okay,
you know,
yeah,
and they love iPhones and they just.
But what
can't.
about all the info that's in it?
Well, I just wiped all that. And it's
Oh,
already
I
backed
see.
up on my computer
I see, okay.
at home, right? So you
Right.
just you return it to its initial state, so
Right.
there's nothing on it,
Right.
Basically,
Okay.
And then they put their own SIM card in, and away
Okay.
you go.
Got
but
it.
we made them actually stand up and make an argument as to why they should have it.
Yes.
And do you know what happened? Very interesting thing happened. The one who eventually got it, who was younger,
Yes.
the 10-year-old, he made a very passionate plea as to why he should have it. You know, for all sorts of reasons. Many of his friends at school
Yeah.
had the same kind
Yeah.
of phone. Blah
Yeah.
blah blah blah. The older one, all he did was just took sort of the Porky view of the world and
Yeah.
just attacked the other one,
Right.
and said this is why he shouldn't have it. And
Right.
just gave us loads of reasons why the 10-year-old shouldn't get the phone.
Well, I
to
think...
which I said, it's very negative. That's something
Yes.
Porky would do.
Yeah.
We've been speaking to him before
Really?
you came, before the kangaroo
Well,
call.
I think that...
So he was not given the phone, and the younger one, who was much more positive,
Yeah.
has now got the phone.
Well, that's going to really, boost the morale of your oldest son, isn't it? To be turned over by his little
these are
brother.
the kinds of decisions that you have to make as a parent.
Blimey, I wouldn't have done it. I mean, that is a...
So what would you have done then?
That's a Cain
Go
and
on,
Abel, that,
tell
isn't
us,
it?
Tell us your
Eh?
great parental answer to that particular conundrum.
What I would have done
Eh?
is... I'd
You'd have
said-
sold it probably, wouldn't you?
No, I
Or
wouldn't.
given it to a tramp.
No, I wouldn't. No, I wouldn't do that. I don't belittle people who are down and out, who haven't had as much luck in life as I have.
Is that right? What, when you don't call them filthy and
I don't.
beggars?
I
and
never
all
do that. I
Yeah.
always give them my beer when it's gone out of date
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
it's still safe. It's still
it?
safe. Honestly,
Yeah.
yeah. It's just that I don't like
So
to
what
take
would
a
you have
chance.
done? Look at the no time. What would
Yeah.
you have done then?
I would have bought each of them a new phone.
You see,
To
that's
stop
ridiculous.
to stop the rivalry.
No, that's
no,
completely
it's
the wrong.
not. No, I
that
wouldn't
is
give them. I
completely
wouldn't
wrong.
give them a knackered old hand-me-down
That's wrong.
phone.
That's so wrong.
You know, I would have given them each
No.
a new phone. And
This
I'd
is
have said,
why-
"You are my
thank-
sons.
Thank God you're not a
You
parent.
are my sons. You walk the earth with your head held high. And if anybody says to you, why have you got a new phone? You know what you say? You say, because my dad's Porky, okay?
Yeah, shocking.
Ooh, I need your love, babe. Guess you know it's true. Hope you need my love, babe. Just like I need you. Hold me, love me. Hold me, love me. I ain't got nothing but love, babe. 8 days a week.
You managed to get a Beatles song into the show as
Well,
well.
I didn't really. Funny enough, this was the initiative of our producer,
Oh,
who
yeah.
is a good guy.
He's a good guy,
And,
yeah, despite being an Everton fan.
Yes, he's an Everton fan, so
Yeah.
there's that sort of Merseyside type bend. But funny enough,
Yes.
earlier this week, just to explain to our millions of listeners, we're working out where it goes from here for what we're doing. Delighted to be working at TalkSport,
Yeah.
obviously.
A lot of people keep saying on Twitter, why
Yeah.
are you leaving TalkSport to go to Talk Radio? We're not doing that.
We're not. This is the point I'm trying to
Yeah.
make. So we're delighted to be working for TalkSport. We're delighted to be working over the next couple of weeks for Talk Radio.
Yeah.
We are a multi-channel company.
We are.
And we go across the channels, which we love because it's in and out of various broadcasting styles.
Yeah.
And then we have got things going on outside of here. Like, for instance, we're heading up only 6 weeks away to the
only
American
6
show.
weeks away, isn't it?
Yeah,
Blimey.
yeah. We're off to...
Gotta get that organised, I suppose.
Yeah, absolutely. We're off to...
The City Winery in New
the
York.
City Winery.
Yeah.
And we're going in the Big White Word with British Airways, thank you. And we are, involved in a lot of other projects. So
We are.
the funny thing is, the reason that came to mind, I was talking to Russ, our producer, earlier, was that Ringo Starr came up with some of the best titles for the songs. For instance, he invented Hard Day's Night.
Yes.
Because they came out of a studio after working all through the night,
Yeah.
and the driver in the car said, "Hi guys, how's it gone? Not tiring?" And Ringo said, "It was a hard day's night." John Lennon picked up on that. Then a couple of years later, they'd been on tour. They'd come back. They had to make a new album at Abbey Road, and in the car away from Abbey Road,
Right.
the driver said, "Hi fellas, are you busy?" And Ringo
Yeah.
said, busy at 8 days a week.
Yeah.
Paul McCartney picked up on
Well,
that.
it's a bit like us, and that's why I suppose
Exactly.
we're playing that song, because technically we could be working 8 days a week. Hopefully
could.
not, because I've
Yeah.
got to see my family
Yeah.
at some point. Speaking
Yeah.
of which, John says, after hearing your parental decision-making, he says, Porky would have told the kids he'd hidden the phone for them to find, but secretly he'd sold it for bladderation funds.
No,
Tom says, not sure I would trust Porky to be the parent of a goldfish, never mind humans.
Oh, that's very nice, isn't it, eh?
And how about this one to be from Ivan, who says, careful, MG, you're working with the Gosport mob. Mike the Don Parry's running the show. It's about as frightening as a magic roundabout.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah. Well, you know, there's no element of intimidation or fear here, but when you're in a pub with a bloke who's 6'4" and as wide as old Joshua, you know, the boxer we've
Anthony
going to be
Joshua.
talking about.
Yeah, well, we might as well
Anthony
talk about
Joshua.
him now.
Yeah.
Because what a bizarre
Then
sort
it's,
of episode that was.
It makes you feel safer. Well, it all
Wasn't
broke
that a very
yesterday
bizarre-
afternoon.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I mean, I was following it, as I'm sure you were.
Yeah.
I was down in Sussex and, you know, sort of occasionally looking at Twitter and suddenly saw this tweet from Amir Khan. And I was like, what on earth is this about? You know, this is because obviously your the old news hounds
Exactly.
sort of antennae stick up.
They certainly do.
And you go, hang on, one former sort of champion boxing man has just named another world champion boxer as having an affair with his wife.
And a bit of
who
cuckolding going
Who he
on.
says he's splitting up with. It was an extraordinary sort of couple of hours.
I was with a colleague, funny enough, from Talk Radio,
Oh, yeah.
and he suddenly, you know, his eyes lit up. He said, won't believe it. And the first one he showed me was allegedly, because I think there's a lot of spoof stuff going on here as well, a tweet from Amir Khan saying, Joshua, you can have my leftovers.
Something like that,
So
yes.
it was like it was getting bitter.
Yeah.
But then Joshua had to put out a statement saying, look, I don't know where all this is coming from, but it's nothing to do with me.
But not before he put out a very humorous video,
Yeah.
which, of course, is that song, It Wasn't Me.
That's right, yeah.
You know, because he put that out
wasn't
first.
me, yeah.
So you weren't actually sure
Yeah.
whether he was now taunting
That's right.
Amir Khan.
That's right.
But he later said, well, to be honest, I've never met either one of you. Don't know either one of you.
Exactly.
Hope you sort it out. I thought Joshua, as ever,
Yeah.
was incredibly sort of refined, mature, and very, very funny.
Yeah, and responsible.
Yeah.
Because he didn't let it get out of hand, you know.
I
and
mean, he's a
start
guy
to-
who you would think. I mean, I don't know whether he ever has had any kind of media coaching, but he's brilliant with the media, isn't
Yeah,
he?
of course he is. He's a natural communicator.
Whereas
as,
Amir Khan has always
as I
been a
believe
little
I
bit.
am.
What?
Sorry.
Sorry,
As
I didn't realise we were talking about you.
No, you know, natural communicators.
Natural communicator.
They're born. You can't make them, they're born.
Oh, right, okay.
Now, you've never had the benefit of going to Rhyl, have you?
I think I may have been through it, actually,
Maybe
because
through it,
I have, you know, what you might call the North Wales Riviera.
That's right, yeah.
Is not unfamiliar to me.
That's right.
Because I have driven, I went to Llandudno, as you know.
Llandudno.
And I think, do you not have to go through Rhyl to get there?
Well, it depends which direction you're coming from,
Well,
of
I was
course.
driving up.
If you're coming up from the south, no, because Llandudno's further.
Yeah, but
further
I've got a feeling
south.
I went up and sort of across.
Yeah,
you
maybe
know.
through Chester and down the A55
I think
and
so.
on the
I think
coast
that's,
road.
I think that's the way I went.
Yeah, well, anyway, you've got...
Because I passed through quite a few god-awful, sort of horrible-looking places on the way,
come on, be
the
fair,
way down
be fair.
there.
You've got Prestatyn, Rhyl, Llandudno, and then
Yeah.
down Colwyn Bay and all that kind
Yeah.
of stuff. But anyway, the people of Rhyl are really excited.
Are they?
Because, you won't believe this, but they're opening a new, Pound World, okay?
Oh, yeah, right.
Right. So you have to get up early to find a bargain in Rhyl. And these shoppers queued for 3 hours early in the morning for the
3
opening
hours?
of a new Pound World store.
Really?
More than 500 people stood in line. That's a very American expression
That
to
is.
find, isn't it,
Yeah.
in a report in this
There's
country?
a lot of that creeping into
Yeah, there
journalism
is,
in
yeah.
this country, isn't there?
I'd prefer to say a queue. More than 500 people stood in a queue from 7 a.m. outside the branch in Rhyl in Denbighshire.
I see.
And astounded locals said the queue was the biggest ever seen in the North Wales seaside resort, which already has half a dozen bargain stores.
Really?
What might have attracted the people of Rhyl to this queue was you got a free goodie bag if you were one of the first 500 customers.
Right. I
Local
wonder if
adverts-
that's something that goes on a lot, because I was, funny enough, just around
Yeah.
the back of Surrey Quays the other day.
Yes.
And there's a new restaurant that appears to be opening up.
Yes.
And I think it's a chain, but it's one of these kind of upmarket chains.
yes.
But there was a huge queue of people outside.
Right.
And more people walking from the station
Yes.
towards the queue.
to get in the queue.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Oh, no, maybe it's the same kind of thing.
What's a new restaurant? Or?
Yeah, it's like a hamburger
I
joint or
see,
something
yeah,
like that,
yeah,
isn't it?
yeah. But anyway, it says on the day, the first 100 people received gifts worth up to £5, including notebook, chocolates, pencils, cleaning items, right? The crowd represented 1 in every 50 resident of the town of Rhyl, which is trying to revamp its image.
Well, I mean, that's extraordinary, isn't
Yeah,
it? I mean, it just
yeah.
goes to show that you can be a little bit out of touch here in the capital city.
Yes.
Because, you know, to a lot of people,
Yeah.
getting a fiver off something is actually a big deal.
Yeah. Now the whole promotional thing for Rill the town
Yeah.
actually went down a bit when one local jester,
Yeah.
Dave Wilson, caught a bit of controversy with the town shires when he wrote on social media, "This is the biggest queue ever seen in Rill, apart, of course, from the Dole queue."
That's very harsh.
It's a bit harsh, isn't
That
it?
is, yeah. But also,
Yeah.
there's nothing
Yeah.
good at the end of the Dole queue.
No.
That's the problem.
No,
Because there must
exactly,
be
yeah.
absolutely no jobs to be found up there in
Yes,
that part
that's
of the world.
right. And another contributor to social media, Rachel Bird, said, "We've got 4 bargain shops in town already. I think people must be skint." Well, that's a bit harsh. Local Labour councillor Joan Butterfield said, "I was in town on Thursday and went to the Pound World store, which was also very busy.
Yes.
Wish that people who make comments on social media would see it as a feather in the cap for Rill rather than trying to make a link with poverty." Well, I totally agree.
I think that's right, yeah.
Don't you realise that if investment is coming to Rill, it provides jobs, it provides people with the ability to see that the town is up and moving, that the people are running the town, that your local councillors and your chief executives are trying to stimulate activity,
Yes.
economic activity. So I would say I'd like to see a much more positive attitude from the people of Rill.
Yeah, well, I mean, this is why I'm always telling
Yeah.
you to be positive, because that's
Yeah.
what you've got to be in life. Danny in Hertfordshire says this. Hi, two Mikes. Only Mike Parry could celebrate Jerry Horner, nay Halliwell, today and her achievements the day after Mo Farah wins gold. Well, I've got something to say about Mo Farah winning gold. We'll talk about that coming up. This is Talk Sport. Now, that music means it is time for the 1 minute moan,
Yeah.
but with a difference today, because
Yeah.
we're going to start with a clean sheet, because
are.
we've got a new football season.
Yeah.
I won the last one 20-10,
Yes.
which is quite a remarkable margin of
Yes.
victory, I have to say.
Yes.
So now it is 0-0, 0-0,
Yeah.
year zero,
Yes.
year dots, whatever you want to call it.
That's right.
So this is your chance to, I think, go ahead
Yes.
in the 1 minute moan.
Yes.
For the first time, I think, probably for about a year.
That's right.
So I hope you're going to take it seriously.
Of course.
I don't know whether you have a 1 minute moan
course
prepared.
I have, yes.
Would you like to go first?
I'd like you to go first.
You'd like me to go
Yes,
first?
that's right. Yeah,
Okay.
Do you have a 1 minute moan, or do you want me to
I
go
do.
first?
No, I'm ready. I'm
Okay.
absolutely ready.
Okay, well, let's go then.
Well, then you're going to find
Okay.
the clock,
Okay.
starting gun.
3, 2, 1, clock.
Last night, I had the pleasure and the privilege of being able to watch Mo Farah winning the 10,000 metres at the World Championships,
Right.
because the way that he did it, the form that he did it in, the tactics that he used, the way that
Yep.
he hung back in 17th place at various points,
Right.
15th place at other points, waited for exactly the right time to go,
Okay.
also fired up the crowd
Yes.
brilliantly in a way just about
Yes.
sort of, 10 laps from the end, moved all the way to the front, and then finally in the final lap of the race, because it takes about 27 minutes, this race, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely incredible performance by him. He just sprinted away like a gazelle,
Mm-hmm.
right? Now, my moan is not about Mo Farah. My moan is about many people who still say, "Oh, Mo Farah's not British, is he?
Mm.
He comes from Somalia. He's not one of us. He's not allowed to be British." Absolute and utter nonsense. I actually had a guy on Twitter last night when I was praising Mo Farah say, "Oh yeah, he's about as British as you are Scottish because you were born in London and you can't be Scottish." Same kind of ludicrous Little England mentality.
Yes.
We should embrace Mo Farah.
Yeah.
He's a champion and he's
Yeah.
ours.
Well, I thought that was all over the place, frankly.
Well, I don't care what you think.
I'm not sure what your 1 minute moan was all
My
about.
1 minute moan was very clearly about people who don't accept and embrace Mo Farah as a British athlete.
Well, I don't think it was even worth bringing up. I mean, they're such a tiny minority of people. We
Is that
take
what
no
you think?
notice of them.
Really?
Because we all know and embrace Mo Farah as Great Britain.
I see.
So I wouldn't have a problem. I've got a better one than that.
Have you?
Yeah.
Well, we shall see. And in fact, we will be the judge. And in
Yes.
fact, Ross, behind the glass, will be the ultimate judge.
Okay.
Because he is the producer.
Yes.
And it will be down to him as to whose is better. He's not looking particularly thrilled with mine, I have to say.
No.
I hope there's not really any Evertonian-style gerrymandering.
No.
But I'm ready to fire the clock if you are.
Yes, I am.
3, 2, 1, clock.
Down in Florida, in a game reserve, Bubbles is languishing on his own. Now, you know who Bubbles was? Bubbles is, because Bubbles is still alive. Bubbles was the most famous chimp in the world.
Was.
He was Michael Jackson's pet. Michael Jackson used to carry Bubbles around in his arms, and Bubbles was the most favourite animal in the world. Poor old Bubbles, since Michael Jackson died, has been languishing in this game reserve in Florida. The poor old chimp can do nothing all day except slope around in a red sort of tracksuit.
Red tracksuit.
Red tracksuit. He slopes around in. He seems aimless and unable to focus. He does sometimes a few paintings.
He doesn't wear a red tracksuit.
He does,
No.
which get sold for £3,000 a time. But I want the world now to focus back on Bubbles. He has a chimp's life at the moment, but he had a human life under Michael Jackson. Michael Jackson can't help Bubbles anymore because Michael Jackson's gone. The king of pop is no longer, but Bubbles is still here.
So what's the
we
moan about?
must help Bubbles.
That's not a
to
moan.
freedom.
That's not a moan. That's a plea.
No, it's not.
Do you know that it's not called the 1 minute plea?
No, it's a moan.
That's not a 1 minute
It's a
moan.
moan.
It's absolute rubbish.
I'm highlighting one of the great...
That's 1-0 to me, I can tell you that without even asking, Ross.
No, one of the great tragedies of the animal world. That is that Bubbles has
I'm
been
afraid
abandoned.
The producer Ross
No.
has described
Don't
it
be
as
ridiculous.
a complete and utter mess.
It's
idea what you're on about.
Complaining yours is a mess, mate.
No, mine was the winner, I'm afraid. So that's 1-0
Who told
to me.
you that?
He just told me. in
Well,
my
they
ear.
haven't told me anything.
You don't hear it.
I
You don't
need to
hear it.
something.
You don't hear it in your ear unless you win.
That guy's giving me the thumbs down.
Yeah, thumbs down to
Last
you.
time I'll ever
and
get
by
him
the way, the
a
only
decent
reason
seat at
the
Goodison
reason
Park.
you say that Bubbles wanders about in a red tracksuit
Yeah.
is because in the newspaper article you stole that from.
No, I didn't.
There's a picture of him wearing
No.
a red tracksuit.
No.
Because Michael Jackson used to dress him up
Yep.
in a red tracksuit.
I saw
But he
it
doesn't
last night.
He doesn't wear it now.
I was alerted to it last night
Were
by
you?
an animal charity. Yeah.
What's the
Don't-
name of the animal charity?
I'm not getting into that.
Really?
Don't be silly.
I mean, there's so much rubbish coming out of you
Rubbish.
today. It's incredible.
Don't be-
Absolutely extraordinary.
Don't be so ridiculously out of touch.
Here's
That's all I can
a
tell you.
very unfair tweet here from someone who doesn't give a name. Bubbles is not the most famous chimp in the world. Mike Parry is.
Oh, that's very nice, isn't
That's
it?
not
eh?
very nice, is it?
Yes.
Let's see. Here's one from. Where are we?
Where are
somebody
we?
who doesn't give a name.
Don't even know where
Who
you are.
Sorry, MG. That was poor. Porky has it. Bubbles points
Thank
to Porky.
you. Thank
Well,
you.
unfortunately, the win has already been given to me, so there's not really much point in you
that's
trying
utter
to
rubbish.
reverse it. Now, coming up, we've got lots and lots more to do because we're going to talk to Adrian Durham and find out what's been going on there.
Yep.
And, of course, we will be looking ahead to the football this afternoon. Wolves taking on Middlesbrough Live right here on TalkSport 2.
Yep.
Also, want to bring to your attention Deirdre O'Connor.
Yeah.
She's the grandma who loves Wetherspoon so much that she's toured the UK to go to something like 455
I know.
different versions of Wetherspoons. I
And
mean, that must be nearly as many as you've been to.
Maybe, and I think she has the same order in every one. She has a pint of beer, and you can't
And a curry,
specify.
right?
Yeah, and a curry. Yeah, you can't specify which beer because the beers change every day. in Most Wetherspoon pubs.
Indeed, yeah.
Yeah.
What an extraordinary. You must have seen her in one of them, maybe.
I doubt it very much.
Really?
How many have I been to? I don't know.
How many do you think you've been to on a rough guess?
30.
30?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, that's quite a
And
lot.
I've got two regular ones. I've got one down in Gosport. I've got
Yeah.
one in Epsom, in
Oh, yeah.
Surrey. So, yeah, absolutely. See, what you don't understand is, and I do,
Yeah.
because I have looked my mortality in the face, right?
Mortality?
Yes.
Yeah.
None of us know.
It's not a pretty sight, is it?
None of us know how long we're going to live.
No.
So it's all very well you bouncing around from day to day saying, oh, well, I'm earning today, so everything's brilliant, you know.
What are you
that's
talking about
it.
earning?
Well, you know, you
I don't use words like earning.
your view is that, if another day, another dollar, the world is great. But what you don't understand is one day will come
Yeah.
when it'll be another day, no dollar.
That's right.
Because you'll be a busted flush in the spent force, okay? And then you've
Well,
got
I've
to
been
think.
there before.
And yeah, of course you have. You've been
Yeah,
there regularly,
I've come
actually.
back from my adversity.
And then what you've got to think about is now another day, but no dollar. How do I find sustenance, food, and
that's why
put a
I've had-
roof over the head
that's
of
why
my
I've-
children
well, no,
today?
No. That's why I've had children.
Yeah.
Because the children then come to you and go, "Oh, Daddy, you've
Yeah.
been so good to us over
Yeah.
all those decades of looking after
Yes.
us that we're now going to look after you."
And that's happening at the moment, is it?
Not yet. No,
No, it's not. No,
But it
how
will
long
be.
are you going to wait for that? Then?
Well, probably about another 10 years.
Yeah, I would say,
Yeah.
if you last
Minimum.
10 years, yeah, honestly. Your handicap
Minimum.
lifestyle will catch up with you, pal, believe
not
me.
at all. Absolutely not at all. Now, tell me what you make of this panel. Danny Murphy, TalkSport's very own Danny Murphy, former professional player, of course,
Top man.
along with Trevor Sinclair, Lee Dixon, Alec McLeish, Chris Powell. We've got Nigel Adkins as well, Terry Butcher, Rachel Brown-Finnis,
Yes.
who's the former England goalkeeper.
That's right, I know her.
These people are all going to sit around judging whether somebody has dived in a Premier League match and will then be empowered, apparently,
Yep.
through the FA
Yep.
to make a decision as to whether or not they were faking it.
Well, that sounds
How's
like
this going to work?
That sounds like a very strong panel to me. But could I say, I think there's too many people on a panel.
Yeah.
Decisions become longer and more complicated to solve when you've got too
Yeah.
many people trying to
I agree
decide
with
them.
that, yeah.
I would have a 3-man panel.
This is 13. Well, it is going to be a 3-man panel, actually, but it's chosen from
I see.
the pool of
okay.
13.
Yeah, well, that's good. I think
Yeah.
that's good. A 3-man panel means we go with the majority.
Yeah.
So, if Danny
But isn't
and
that open to
Big
a-
Ek
isn't that
say
open to a little bit of-
definitely a dive, and
Yeah, but-
Rachel says it's not, then the majority...
Yeah, but is it not open to abuse, this? And I'm
Why?
not
How?
suggesting
How?
I'm not suggesting that people are in any way, corrupt. But
Yeah.
what I'm going to tell you is that, an awful lot of these incidents, you can't tell. Even if you're looking at it in slow motion, even if you're looking at it from all different angles that
Yes.
Sky has,
Yes.
you still can't really be certain that somebody dived. You can certainly see whether there was any contact, but you can't definitively say that person dived, therefore
Yeah.
they should be red carded or retrospectively punished or
Sure.
banned or whatever.
But I think a professional footballer like Danny
Yeah.
would be able to offer the opinion that, to be honest, I think he was getting out of the way because he felt he was going to be nobbled,
Yeah.
and so he threw his body around, and he can say the boy didn't deliberately dive, he got out the way. You see what I mean?
Here's another thing I'll put to you
Yeah.
then. Is it not possible that some of these former players
Yeah.
will still have friends who play?
Maybe, but I think what you're saying is, are you saying that former players might have allegiances to their former clubs?
Not necessarily to their former clubs, but
no.
to mates of theirs who are still playing.
Maybe. I mean, I'm sure there are people still in the game who were playing and have played against and with Danny Murphy.
Yes, indeed.
without a shadow of a doubt.
Yes,
but
indeed.
I think Danny, I've known him a long time, Danny, and in my view, Danny is like a High Court judge. He is incorruptible.
I'm not suggesting
He's
he's,
like
in
a
any way.
vicar.
I'm
He's
not,
incorruptible.
Yeah, but it's not about whether you're incorruptible, because of course he's incorruptible.
Yeah.
Nobody would suggest
Yeah.
otherwise.
So,
However,
but you are suggesting
no, I'm
that
not.
he'll be swayed
What
by
I'm
knowing
saying,
a player.
what I'm saying, it's like the Noam Chomsky argument about your
Yeah.
education, right?
Yes.
You can't help the way that you were educated
Yes.
because you grew up in a relatively, wealthy country in the west of Europe.
That's right.
With reasonably well-off parents who had to work very hard for you.
Yeah.
But your kind of cultural experience is all about what you were brought up as, right?
Yes.
You can't help that.
No, you can't help
So
that.
you will have certain prejudices that are never going to change.
Well-
and he will have the same ones. Being a former footballer, he will have a view on, say, for example, hard tackling right backs,
Yes.
or a hard tackling centre halves,
Well-
or fancy Dan,
Yeah.
foreign centre forwards. You know
Yes.
what I mean? You might have a view,
Yeah,
which is going to expound into what your judgment is going
I
to be.
prefer
like.
to believe that a guy like Danny Murphy knows more about football than we do.
He
and
does.
I will leave it to him.
He certainly does.
Yes.
But what I don't know is whether this panel idea is
Yeah.
going to work, because they can't
Well-
really ever be impartial.
Well, let me tell you this: we've needed this panel for a long time.
I don't agree.
I'm very much in favour
No,
of it
I don't
because
agree.
diving, simulation as we call it, has been the unspoken serious crime in football for far too long
Well, Mark
now.
Clattenburg agrees with you. He
Yeah.
was on the Sports Breakfast earlier.
That's right.
And he said that's the single worst thing
Yeah.
that's been trouble last year. Anyway.
Yeah, and I am fully in support of this panel. They have my support, and I will lavish praise on the football authorities for getting it into place for this season.
Well, Lord Early agrees with me. He says you can never really tell the difference between diving and avoiding contact.
You can if you've got common sense. If you've got common sense, if you've got the background of football knowledge and what happens on a football field, most of all, the powers of perception, I think you can.
And I hear
It's
about
better
this-
than not having a
How
panel.
about this from Darren?
Yeah.
I wouldn't be happy for Danny Murphy running the rule over Man United players.
Why
See,
not?
This is what you're going to get from
Why
people.
not?
Well, because they're going to be accused of having something against them.
Why? Danny hasn't got anything against Manchester United
Well, you
players.
can say that, and
he
he
played
can
for a
say
long
that.
time for Liverpool, but
I'm
he's
not-
intelligent enough not to
Yeah.
carry prejudices
I
into
agree
a
with that.
responsible position.
I agree with that, but
Yeah.
this is the kind of accusation that will be levelled at a panel
Well, you
which
just have to-
contains former players.
I'm sorry, you just have to meet that accusation and brush it away and
Okay.
say, no, it has no justification.
Yeah, well
So
said.
with you, as you see, you just
No.
bend with the
Well
wind,
said.
you do.
No, you
bend
just
with the
no,
wind.
You just sound like Kim Jong-un.
No.
Just tell everyone it's all right,
Yeah.
and it'll be all right.
Yeah. It's the weekend, so
Certainly is Saturday so far.
Saturday so far.
Yeah.
Traditionally a time to get together with the family, maybe Saturday or Sunday.
Well, it used to be before I started working every day.
Well, that's right. We've got to put the hours in. But on a Sunday, normally families sit down. Now
Yeah.
then, do you, when you sit down with your family, do you have a traditional starter and then a main course, maybe a roast, and then do you have some pudding?
No, we often have a pudding,
Right.
but very rarely do we have a starter.
Right, OK, that's great, because I
Yeah.
want to talk to you about puddings. Now,
Yes.
Ambrosia, the famous company that produced like Bird's Custard and all that kind
Indeed,
of stuff.
rice pudding.
100 years old today. How
Is that
about
right?
that?
Yeah.
Isn't
I'm
that
a big
great?
fan of Ambrosia rice pudding.
Well, funny you should say that, because that's their top brand.
Is it?
That says that that's their most famous brand. But that's
Right.
not really a sweet, is it? So
Well, it kind of is.
So
Well, what would you call it then?
Well, I don't think people have it after a roast lunch on a Sunday, do they? You see what I
Probably
mean?
not.
No.
Probably not. But I mean,
But-
my mother used to cook rice pudding, for example.
Yeah,
which
my
we
mum
would
did.
then, we would then eat.
My mum,
as
with a lovely skin over the
Yeah,
top, and we used to
yeah.
bash the spoon into the
That's
skin.
it, yeah,
and
with-
I used to
and-
love eating the
and-
skin
and
as well.
sultanas and all
Yeah,
that.
that's right.
Very
Lovely.
nice.
But anyway, let me put this to you very quickly.
Yeah.
As a survey is what what the mother of your children
Yeah.
yourself serve to your children
Okay.
on Sunday as a sweet. Okay,
All right.
jam roly poly.
Jam roly-poly, not very often.
Okay, bird's custard.
Bird's custard sometimes, yeah, because they like to bake, you see. So we'll often have
Right.
an apple pie or something.
Excellent.
Apple crumble with custard, yeah.
Okay, spotted dick.
No.
No, okay. Angel delight.
No, never.
No, see, I love Angel
I
delight.
know you do.
But the trouble is, it's a mega input of sugar into
Yes.
your mouth if you're having a
Yeah,
banana
it can't be
flavoured-
good for your teeth. Or anything, can it?
Probably can't.
No.
Trifle.
Trifle, we've very rarely had it, but we have
Yeah,
had it once in a
I
while.
love trifle.
I'm
buying
a big fan of trifle.
I like buying a trifle from Tesco's, which
Yeah.
has got huge clotted cream on the top,
Yeah.
and then all the fruit underneath. I
Yes.
absolutely love it.
And
you
a
know,
bit of
it's great.
custard, do you put in your trifle, would you say?
I
Cold
might.
custard?
I might. Yeah, I might.
Bit of jelly?
Yeah, well, I mean, when I buy the
Yeah.
the trifle, it's all there.
Yeah.
Christmas pudding. I'm not
Christmas
very
pudding.
familiar with that.
Well, Christmas pudding we have at Christmas. You don't have it any other time, do you?
Yeah, well, I think you do. In the 14th century, the Christmas lunch traditionally included a porridge called frumenti,
Oh, yeah.
made from boiled cracked wheat with raisins,
Right.
prunes, currants and spices. That has turned into the modern-day
Well, hang on.
Christmas
You
pudding.
didn't tell me you were talking about Christmas lunch.
No, we're not. We're not.
Ah.
But some people actually like Christmas pudding on its own.
Well, I mean, the thing about Christmas pudding is you always buy one every year.
Yeah.
And by the time you've had your Christmas dinner, everybody's so full
Yeah.
that when you ask
That's
anyone
right.
if they want anything,
Yeah.
they usually have, if they have anything, they have like one spoon of it.
Well, what
so
we
there's
do
always
is
loads of it left.
we say we'll come back to the table 4
Yeah.
hours later. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, but even then, you've
Yeah.
still got loads of it left.
Well, you're true. Now, getting into my territory.
I like setting fire to it, though.
Yeah, I quite like that. Yeah, see
Yeah.
the flames licking across the top of the black pudding, so to speak.
Well,
Christmas pudding.
Yeah, the
But
black
it looks
Christmas
black.
pudding.
So
Yes,
it looks black.
It does after you've torched
Now
it.
into my territory, Battenberg cake.
No, not
Yeah.
really.
No, I like.
No, they made one once. Do you remember? But it didn't come out very well. So I was supposed to bring it to you.
That's right.
But it didn't. The colours didn't work
Flopped
somehow.
a bit. It didn't matter. I could eat old Battenberg
Yeah.
cake. What I do is, though, I do take the marzipan off the edge
Right.
and then just eat the
Okay.
soft stuff
All
inside. Bread pudding.
Bread pudding, no.
I don't like bread pudding. They used to make me eat it at
Not-
school.
not
I
really a
hated
fan
it.
of that, no.
Bread with raisins in it. Oh, I
Yeah,
used to hate
I'm
it.
not a fan.
Baked Alaska. What's that?
Baked Alaska is a sort of meringue type thing, isn't it?
Right.
Where it's like a fruit inside of a meringue.
Yes.
You know?
Well, it was. It should be partial to you and I because it was invented in 1867
Oh, yeah.
by Charles Ranhofer. A
Ranhofer?
Yeah, a Parisian chef working at Delmonico's in New York.
the man from Delmonico's.
The man from Delmonico. I've never heard of Delmonico's.
No,
it
me
must have
neither.
gone years ago.
Yeah.
He's said to have named it on the commemoration of Alaska being purchased from the Russian Empire.
Okay.
In
We were talking
1837.
about Alaska the other day.
We certainly were.
Funny enough, I got a tweet from someone who said, if you fancy going to Alaska on a cruise,
Yes.
I'm the man to talk to because
Oh,
I
really?
used to work on them. Yeah.
Oh, great, that's brilliant. Will you get it free?
Well, no, I don't think so. That's not
okay.
the point. I
All
think
right,
it was
yeah,
just advice about where to go.
Okay, and finally, and I've
Yeah.
never really understood this one because I don't think I've ever had it. Eton mess.
Eton mess, yes. Yeah,
No.
well, that's very popular. That is literally, I think it's raspberries,
Yes.
bit of meringue, some fresh cream,
Yep.
and all sorts of other, it literally is a mess.
Sure.
You get it in front of you and it just looks like a complete
Looks
mess.
like somebody's turned the bowl upside down and dumped it on your plate.
But it's rather good.
Well, it says here, a mess historically was a dish served as at a feast, and the earliest known reference to Eton mess dates back to 1896. That's not very far back.
Yeah.
There is also evidence to suggest it started life being sold at the Eton College Tuck Shop.
Yeah, very
and was
possibly.
made with strawberries or bananas. There you go.
No, I thought it was made with raspberries. That shows what I know.
I very rarely, hardly ever eat pudding. I prefer a plate of cheese.
Yeah. Yes, cheese is good.
I do.
But the problem I have at home, right, is that
Well,
I
you've got
often...
lots of problems at home.
No, I don't.
You've been
actually.
there's a big problem to the
No,
rest of your family.
Yeah, you would say that,
Yeah.
but that would be unkind.
Yeah.
My dog loves me. That's all I can say with any assurity.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure about the rest of them.
But every
the dog
time-
always looks forward to seeing me.
Every time I talk to you about, how did it go over the weekend at
Yeah.
home, your first wailing,
Yeah.
moaning
Right.
always is, we ran out of red. Or we
That's
ran
not
out of
true.
white.
No, that's not true.
You ran out of red the other night,
No,
you
that's
told
not
me, at
true.
home in London.
That's rubbish.
You had to send your daughter out to get some more.
that's only because my daughter drinks it all.
Oh, well,
You know,
I blame it on your daughter.
Well,
eh?
that's because she never buys any wine. She
Oh,
just
right.
drinks it.
Yeah, drinks all your
You know,
wine.
so I try and
Well,
tell her
that's
to
what
go
fathers are for, to provide their
And then
daughters
you know,
with wine.
you know what she does then? Then she goes out to buy it and
Yeah.
puts it on my credit card.
Puts it on your credit card.
You
Well,
know,
there
charming.
Go. Right,
no,
now,
but what happens? What I was going to say to you, the problem I have on the
Yes.
dinner around the dinner table at home
Yes.
is that I'm often the one left sitting there because everybody just gets up and walks off.
Yeah, we see that's rude. I wouldn't allow that to happen if they
I'd
were
try
my
not to.
children. I'd say, you will leave the table when I tell you to leave the
Yeah,
table.
well, give him a good smack, would you?
No, I wouldn't give him a good smack. I
Get
would
the old
just have
slipper out.
I'd have the air of authority about me.
Really?
Now, very quickly, because
Yeah.
we've got to go in a minute, what are
Yeah.
you doing next week?
What do we do next week? We're going to be on Talk Radio.
We certainly are.
We're going to be on Talk Radio from 1 to 4.
We are.
Monday to Friday.
Monday to Friday.
And what we can tell you is that we're going to have a whole variety of very interesting guests.
Certainly.
But certainly one that we do know we're going to have on Wednesday
Yes.
is a very fine woman who's going to bring a lot of wine.
She is.
For us to taste.
We're going to have a wine tasting.
We're going to have a wine taste. It's going to be fabulous.
And we'll
Yeah.
make it in the last hour. So
Well, we'll
that
have to make it last hour,
we will.
otherwise you'll have to be carried out.
If the first or second hour, we might have trouble with you.
Well,
we would
last
get
time we had-
mangle mouth.
Last time we had the cocktail guy in.
Yes, that's
you
right.
were away with the fairies.
I certainly was.
Anyway, so all the usual stuff will happen. Porky Vision, Ask Porky, the listography
Yeah.
that we do, the
That's right.
Porky quiz and everything.
But
and we'll also be back here next Saturday.
I was about to say, nevertheless, here on TalkSport, back here next week, folks. Don't miss any of it. It's going to be brilliant. We're going to have a great week.
This is TalkSport.
On DAB Digital Radio and 1089 and 1053 AM. The warm-up with the two mics on TalkSport.
Camel dung, mate.
Yeah.